I'm gonna tell you how I went from being a stressed out Uber driver, practically making nothing after expenses, to landing my first tech support job, making $65,000 a year working from home in New York City in 3 months. I didn't have a computer science degree and I had never worked in tech before. I was driving Uber for 8 years. Completely burned out, constantly trying to repair my car, zero career progression in Uber. It literally sucked. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the exact steps I took to break into tech so you can do it for yourself, even if you have zero tech experience like I did. Now, 10 months ago, I had actually not even 10 months ago. How long ago? Last year, I had no idea what tech was about. I was driving Uber in New York City, but let me paint a picture on how miserable it was. Every other week, I would need to fix my car. There would be something that would break down. It would either be the tires that I would need to replace, I would need to change the brakes, I would need to change the alternator, I would need to change the serpentine belt. I remember I was literally attacked by a biker who hit me with his bike. He tried to hit me with his bike lock and he broke my back window. And the only reason why it didn't hit me is because I skirted out of the way. Now, I'll admit it was probably a little bit my fault because he thought I was gonna hit him, but I wasn't gonna hit him. Like, you know, I was just telling him, dude, why are you stopping? Like, go. I wasn't gonna hit you, go. And he got upset and he attacked me. That cost like 200 bucks. Then I had to replace my transmission. So I was on my second transmission and I had to replace my engine twice. So I was on my third engine. Name any part of a car. I've literally had to replace it and it sucked. I was making about $80,000 gross income, but after taxes, gas, tolls, car rentals, because sometimes I didn't own my car, and constant repairs, I was netting maybe $48,000 a year. And that's if I worked almost every single day. So needless to say, I was at my breaking point. When I took my car to get the muffler fixed, it was $160. And when I left that mechanic shop, the reason why I went to go get my muffler fixed was because it was making some weird sound. When I left the mechanic, it was making the exact same sound. Let's just say I was beyond done. I needed something else other than this constant merry-go-round hamster wheel that I was on. I was done. And one of the things I realized is that, like, while I was in that moment of trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, is that I realized that short-term solutions weren't gonna fix my long-term problems. I needed a long-term solution. And I wanted a career where I could make good money, have a better work-life balance, work from home, and actually have massive room to grow. And that's where I discovered cybersecurity. But I also realized cybersecurity isn't really entry level. So I need to build my foundation and start in tech. Now, the first thing I did is I tested myself to see if I was really interested in this field. I took an aptitude test for tech and cybersecurity, and I did surprisingly well. And this gave me the confidence that maybe I can actually do this. Maybe this is something where I want it to be. So I started watching YouTube videos from people like Josh Madakor, Cyberwalks, Unix guys. I listened to hours and hours of Darknet Diaries podcast while I was driving, and I was completely fascinated. I remember that one day my fiance called me in the middle of the night and I woke up telling her something about cybersecurity or we're getting hacked. And the next day she told me, it's like, you know, you were like literally dreaming about cybersecurity, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm just so excited about it. So I decided that I was gonna get into cybersecurity. I looked on Google, what can I do? And I found that there was this boot camp. And when I realized it was $10,000, what was the boot camp called? It was like something with Columbia University, edX or something like that, whatever. But when I realized it was that much money, I decided I'm not gonna do that. Like, I don't got the money for that. So I decided to take the Google cybersecurity course on Coursera and just get some basic knowledge just to understand cybersecurity. This stage was all about figuring out if tech was really for me. And I concluded that it was. I knew I was very interested and committed to this journey. And I made a decision that this is what I'm gonna do. So once I knew I wanted to get into cybersecurity, I needed to build my foundation. I realized I needed to get serious about building skills that employers actually want. The problem was just watching YouTube videos and taking basic courses like the Google cybersecurity course. I'm sorry, but I just have to say it is pretty basic. That is not going to give you hands-on experience that hiring managers are looking for. This is where, if I knew what I knew now, I would have done things differently. This is where I wish I had found Course Careers earlier, because I would have saved so much time. Course Careers has a complete IT program that doesn't just teach you theory, it gives you real practical experience through hands-on labs. In their IT courses, you learn everything from hardware basics, network fundamentals, you're gonna work with ticketing systems, you're gonna work with Active Directory, and you're gonna use the cloud platform, Microsoft Azure. But really, what I think sets this apart is that you're actually doing the work. You're not just reading about it. You're not just taking a test. You're building skills. And after you build those foundational skills, what I noticed is that I started to focus specifically on IT help desk work. I built out labs and projects that I can show employers proof of my ability. And that's the key word there. That is the secret sauce. And this is something I think Course Careers teaches really well, is that you need to demonstrate your skills. This is what sets it apart, right? It's not just about listing them on a resume. It's about proving that you have the skills. Me, I redid my labs 5 to 7 times until I could explain every single step without looking at the tutorial. And then I made walkthrough videos showing everything I did. This gave me concrete proof that I could do the job, even without prior experience. And when you don't have work experience, having a strong portfolio of relevant projects is critical. If you're looking to break it into IT like I did, honestly, Course Careers has everything you need. Just check out their free introduction course. It's gonna show you exactly what it looks like day to day in an IT role, what skills you need, how you get hired fast. Now, inside the full program, you're gonna get a comprehensive training on all the technical skills I mentioned, plus resume optimization, interview coaching, and even connections to partner companies that are actively hiring. You'll also get access to their AI career counselor and teaching assistant, but to be honest, I never really used that. I use ChatGPT, but if it works for you, hey, let me know in the comments. They're gonna guide you through every step of the process. Yes, it's like having a personal mentor 24/7, but the best part to me is that everything is hands-on, right? It's not about memorizing facts. Now, to be fair, you're gonna need to memorize a couple things, especially when you start learning subnet masking. But the key thing is taking that knowledge and turning it into hands-on skills. That is what employers are looking for. So if you want help with this, check the link in my description and go try out their free course for yourself. Now, I want to caveat with this by saying this isn't for everybody, okay? This is if you're trying to really go for 3 types of positions: IT support, help desk, and tech support. If you're trying to become a software engineer, if you're trying to get into Linux administration, if you're trying to become a embedded software engineer, which is actually a new role that I learned about today while I was on TikTok live with this, helping this girl. If you're trying to get into other type of roles, the key thing that I'm trying to point across is that you need to tailor your portfolio to the job that you're applying for. This course is like a perfect package for these type of roles. And what's great is that you can pivot into any other position, right? You can go from IT support to IT lead to system administrator. You can go from IT support to dev support to cybersecurity support. There's a lot of different ways that this can branch out, right? So just keep that in mind, right? Because this conversation isn't for everybody, but it also is for everybody if you're picking up the framework that I'm trying to explain. Now, from the time I started seriously studying to when I felt job ready, it took me about 3 months of consistent effort. I was able to put in a couple hours each day since I was still driving Uber, maybe about 1 to 2 hours. I would go to a coffee shop and just study, right? For you, it might take longer or it might take shorter, right? And that's completely fine. The point is consistent progress, not speed. But what I will say is that having a structured program like Course Careers, it makes the process more efficient, right? Here's one thing. You're never gonna master IT. It's one of those fields where you're always learning new technology, solving new problems. The key thing is knowing enough to get your foot in the door, right? And then keep learning while you're on the job. You can pivot to another position. When I started applying to jobs, I definitely didn't feel 100% ready, right? I was actually trying to get my MS 365 certification, right? But that's normal. You have to apply when you're at that minimum viability level where you are good enough to do the job, right? It doesn't matter if you feel ready, do it. You'll be surprised on what happens, literally. Now, here's how I actually landed my first role. I applied to 600 jobs. Most of those, if I'm honest, were easy to apply on LinkedIn. Those got me nowhere. Pretty pretty much auto rejection. I remember I would literally apply to like 7 roles on Monday at 2:30, and then 1 week later at Monday at 2:30, I would get 7 rejection letters. Like, easy apply pretty much sucks, right? Okay, now the job where I actually got an interview, went through the 3 rounds, did my platform assessment, did my Excel assignment, I applied directly to the company's website and I tailored my resume to match their specific requirements. And I reached out to the hiring manager via email. This is all stuff I learned from the course. So it's incredible that when I followed what the course told me to do, I got results. But when I did my own thing, which is doing mass applying, easy apply, it didn't really work out. You know, I guess I was just very hungry for a job, you can say. And by the way, I applied to those 600 jobs in 2 months, right? I know some people, they applied to like 100 in a year. So keep that in mind. It's also a numbers game. Now, if I had to do it again, I would have focused on applying to fewer companies, but doing it in the right way, following what they taught me, going directly to their website, customizing my application, and reaching out to the hiring manager. The real breakthrough was being able to show my portfolio projects during the interview. When they asked me about my experience, I just walked them through my actual labs I built and the problems I solved. That made all the difference. It didn't matter that I didn't have real experience. My portfolio was my experience. So that's how I went from being a burnt out Uber driver to landing my first tech support role in a software company in Manhattan in just 3 months. Now I work from home, I have great benefits, I'm on track for a promotion to become a senior technical support specialist. I'll be honest, the emotional roller coaster was real. This journey has tested me in ways that I did not expect, right? But knowing how to manage those emotions and stay consistent with the work really was my key to success. Now, if you want to follow my journey, you want to learn more about breaking into tech, make sure you subscribe. If you're serious about starting your own IT career, don't forget to check out the Course Careers free intro course that I got linked below. It might be the exact steps you need to change your life, just like it changed mine. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.